I see a couple familiar faces in the audience, just seeing from the ambassador chats. It's nice to see you guys here. I have this recorded. The only issue is I think only my voice will be recorded. I'll have to fill in any questions if they're said on stage. But I think I'll be speaking for the most part. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for coming. We're hosting this ambassador call just because we are 1 week away from our first final tallies and rewards for the first month of the ambassador program. And we just wanted to clarify some things, answer any questions you guys may have, take any suggestions you guys may have. I'm seeing another ping here. No. I'm gonna give you guys a brief overview of how things are going right now. If you have any questions, you can definitely write them in the chat. And we also have that questions channel that I'll quickly go through as well. So, and I hope you guys can hear me properly. I did turn up my volume, but I think for the most part, I am all right. So, uh, let's see, let's begin. So yes, like I mentioned, we have 1 week left for the month of November. We have, okay, thanks Cosmic. Um, November 25th is the deadline that we decided for the month of November. So all your submissions, so November will be a slightly shorter month. So all submissions before the 25th will go towards the first month of rewards. After the 25th, any submissions will start counting for the month of December. And similarly in December, which with holidays, I think will also be a less active month, we'll have the 25th of every month be kind of the deadline. Have a buffer week to distribute the rewards, do the lottery, which I'll speak about a little bit. And yeah, that work during that buffer period will go towards the following month. So that's how we have it planned right now. So yes, there's 1 more week of contributions left. Um, One of the questions that I saw in the chat, and one that we have to address today, let me quickly open it up. Kennedy did ask, good afternoon. My question is that what constitutes as quality content? How do they grade us with points, especially with comments and retweets on the main Acala post and Acala handle? I think that's a great question. We got Bitcoin Army on today. Cool. I think that's a great question. And I want to point out that we do have our points guideline that we released at the start of the ambassador program. Um, and in the title, as it states, it is a guideline. It's kind of a starting point to grade things, but ultimately the grading system is down to the ambassador lead, the regional lead. This is because every group is quite different. Americas and EU is quite different from Africa, which is quite different from Asia. As far as the type of contributions, the type of ambassadors, the number of ambassadors. So it is a pretty fluid guideline. Now, each of our regional leads have been with Acala for at least over half a year, some even 2 to 3 years since the beginning of Acala. So they're very knowledgeable about what's going on in the ecosystem, and they have all made content themselves. So I know for the Asia region, our lead has a pretty big YouTube channel and does that himself. Bitcoin Army here has been making content for Acala for a long, long time, and he has quite a active community in the Americas. And then for our regional lead in Africa, he was one of the leading ambassadors in our first program. So they have the rich experience of creating content, seeing content, reading content, and being part of the program. So their grading is based on their experience and knowledge of Acala. And and yes, so that yes, so that is subject to with that being said, I understand it could be subject to questioning of like how the grading point system is. But as the regional leads, it is more or less you are under their watch and their judgment. So of course you can ask for feedback as to maybe how to improve, or if any points were deducted, or if things can be better. But at the end of the day, yes, the final judgment goes to them, and I'm looking over if there's going to be um, any issues. So I'll keep an eye on the ambassador leads, and the ambassador leads are the ones taking care of you. Um, so that's as far as the quality, and then us as for that as well, guideline wise for the ambassador leads, we are looking for content that is relevant, that is correct, and that is helpful for the ecosystem. So just as for an example, any content on the Jito Sol L dot pool that recently launched, any content on like ACA staking or utilities of ACA, is always valuable for people that may not know. But speaking about crowd loan or maybe LC dot or the worst one, AUSD, is kind of out of the question as far as relevant and impactful content. And specifically for the question that was asked, when about how are like comments and retweets graded, it's similarly there's either the content, the impact, or the creativity can be graded, and you can have more or less points than what was on the guideline. And again, as further emphasis, each region is different than the others. So some may be more lenient, some may be more strict, but that is due to many different factors. Um, I saw another question. I saw questions about the actual reward system from Cosmic Thunderbolts, and I should get to yours because you're already very active in the chat, so I appreciate that. So, there's a three-part question. The first part is, apart from the top three, there will be a lottery reward system that will be used to give out ACA rewards. So let me go over that really quickly. Um, okay. So yes, the top three winners of every region will have ACA sent directly to their wallet. So they won't have to do anything, though they won't partake in the lottery system because they've won the grand prize. So well, the ambassador leads and myself will collect the addresses just to double check so we make sure we send the ACA prize to the appropriate wallets and they're settled. Um, Apart from the top three, I was just speaking with the dev team earlier today. Um, the lottery system is a lottery page that opens up only when we activate it. So we'll send you guys the link. And for 24 hours, you're able to, what we say, draw from the lottery or spin the lottery to win to earn ACA. So the amount of spins you get are determined by how many points you earn during the month from your contributions. But there is a maximum of 350 spins or draws in each region. So the 350 draws will be divided by the ambassadors of the region based on the points that they've contributed. So that's how it'll work. We'll make sure to ping you guys appropriately. We'll give you guys a heads up before the lottery launches because it does stay open for 24 hours, and that's where you can draw and win some ACA. Just to clarify, we did add more ACA to the lottery pool from the first post of the ambassador program that we made. It is now 12,500 ACA per region. Um, so it's slightly bigger than the 10,000 we first started. This was from feedback from the previous ambassadors and our leads wanting there to be more prizes for more ambassadors and a bit less of a top focus. But I think it's a pretty reasonable balance. That's also something that we can discuss for further months as well. So for everyone that doesn't make it to the top three, you'll be spinning in the lottery. That also does bring up the, I guess, issue that we can have if some regions have more than or have a lot of ambassadors, that the lottery spin will be divided very, very thin. So for the following month, there will be a cut down on recruits, um, and those that do make the cut will be turned into ambassadors. Recruits can stay recruits, though you would have to wait for there to be an opening in your region, or we might rearrange some regions or change it up, but that we still have to discuss the details of. So for this first month, I mean, it's not too late to contribute. I see Dynamic, you're in here, but you are in the last week of contributions. And then there will be cuts, and we're limiting it to 15 ambassadors in every region. The second part of this question was, do both recruits and ambassadors share the same leaderboard? Yes. Recruits and ambassadors share the same leaderboard. The role of a recruit and an ambassador is practically the same thing. An ambassador is just one that has been around longer or has proven themselves to be an official ambassador. Recruits, we created this role because we have an open ambassador program and we allowed a lot of people in. And so to be turned from a recruit to an ambassador is just one stage up, and it's a little more of an official ranking. Though as far as rewards, it's the same. And then yes, depending on your quality of contributions, you will be selected as an ambassador. Okay, wait, actually, uh, okay, actually, no. Cosmic was answering the questions, not asking them. So thank you again for that. I appreciate that. So yes, and then yes, depending, it will be up to your regional lead to decide who will be selected to be an ambassador, an official ambassador for the following months. Okay, I see some more questions rolling in. I see Bitcoin Army is also here, but he's currently having a mic problem. So I guess he will type out any answers he sees or any comments, and I can echo it for those that are just the listeners. But yeah, or if I misspeak or say something, you guys feel free to jump in. So I have some questions in the chat. Um, from Styrene. Is quote tweet points different from normal retweets? Okay. So, I would say yes, a quote tweet is different from a retweet, simply because there's usually added context to it. I mean, if it's just a quote tweet just saying the word bullish, then it's not much more than a comment. Um, the rating system again is a guideline, and the real thing that we're looking for is your impact, your accuracy, and your creativity. So whether it comes in the form of a quote tweet, whether it comes in from a comment, I mean, you can't really get that in a retweet other than just impact on a retweet if you have a large audience. But the scaling and the grading is based on that, and it can come in any form. That's the same of like if you write a thread versus an article. The impact, the accuracy, and the creativity is what matters, and that's what gives you points at the end of the day. Um, Another question here. My question is, how is our content being graded concerning deciding the quality of the content, engagement-wise, creation-wise, and all the lead heads using the same grading system? And concerning the lottery for ambassadors have limits on spins. This is because what if I wasn't able to spin at the moment and other ambassadors did and got almost all the prize? I don't know if you understand the question. Yes, okay, so I understand both these questions. So, similarly to how it was explained at the beginning, um, the guideline that was posted at the beginning of the program is the baseline that all the ambassador leads use. But again, it is a very flexible guideline due to many different reasons, whether it's the overall quality of work from all the ambassadors, the amount of ambassadors, the type of content in each region. I'll give an example actually. If in one region there is nobody on X, but everybody on Medium or these article writing sites, then there can be a tweak where posts on X, for example, have a bit of a boost because it's the only exposure, right? Good quality content, that is, not just kind of spam content. So that there can be adjustments made based on each region and based on the ambassadors that are in that region. So things can be tweaked. The base guideline everybody uses, but the quality and again the impact and the creativity is up to the judgment of the ambassador leads. Um, and then as far as the limit in spins, yes, yeah, this is kind of interesting, but we only give out 350 spins for each regional group. So you cannot get out spun. Or it's not a rush to spin. I mean, of course, get your spins in as soon as you can so that you don't miss out in the 24-hour window. But we don't allow more spins than is possible from the lottery. The only issue that can happen is if you don't spin and you save your spins for the following lottery, then perhaps there can be some issues. So I guess we encourage everybody to use their spins in the appropriate lottery. Otherwise, we would have to make some tweaks and extend the amount of spins so people can get in. Um, And the base and the reward pool should cover, like mathematically should cover everybody's spin, and maybe have a little bit of ACA left over, unless a lot of people happen to hit the jackpot. Then we would just have to add more ACA to the pool. But you should be fine. Like if there's 15 ambassadors, some might have 10 spins, some might have 5 spins, some might have 20 spins based on contents, but it will always total up to no more than 350 per region. So there won't be 500 spins in a cycle, because we adjust the points based on the amount of spins that we're allowed to give. Does content on Grail count? It can. See, okay, this is another thing. On the guideline, we do have the preferred social media platforms, like Twitter. I think Medium is part of it. LinkedIn is also part of it because there's a big LinkedIn community. Um, as for anything outside of the ones that we've listed, I would say contact with your ambassador lead. But one of the major factors, whether it should count or not, is if you have an audience on that platform. We don't necessarily want you to create a new, let's say, Instagram account so that you can post about Acala if you only have, 5 followers on there. That I don't think that's a good use of your time or your content. I'm a strong believer that you can make the greatest content, but if there's nobody there to hear it or see it, it doesn't have much value, or it doesn't have much impact. And like I said at the beginning, the number one factor is impact. Then the second is accuracy as well, which I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, because you also don't want to have a negative impact. And then the third one is kind of creativity, which is another flow. So if you do have a content, if you do have an audience on Grill, if you think it's going to have an impact, if you can show that it has an impact, then it can be graded and you can get points for it. I don't want you to try to migrate your community on Grill into Medium so you can get points. But they follow a similar structure since it is more article based or post based. So it is very possible, but you have to talk to your lead about it. And yeah, and that can be discussed. Um, yes, okay, so Styrene, joining a large space with a large number of listeners and having the opportunity to speak about a call, or hosting a space with 50 to 100 listeners, which gets more points? Hmm. Yes, again, see, this is the part where it's more or less determined by your ambassador lead. That's the gray area where both of these things are impactful. Um, um, yeah, there's lots of factors that can be involved. So if you're in a large space and you're given 15 minutes to talk about Akala, and you can see there's a lot of active big names in the space, or you feel like it gets a lot of traction, that can have a lot of impact. Also, kind of depends on what you say about Akala as well. Um, and then if you're hosting a space and you're able to gather 50 to 100 listeners, that is also very impactful. I think both of those can score a lot of points. Um, but see, on the, I guess, dark side or on the bad end of that, if you decide to host 3 spaces with the same 50 to 100 people every single week, that may not be as impactful as joining a new space with new audience and listeners. So I think the timing and the type of content in the space does play a role. If you plan on doing maybe a weekly show for audience that can come in, that's a little different than just hosting multiple space because you can gather people. So there's lots of factors. We are human beings. This is not a robotic. We're just trying. I would encourage to try not to game the system and just try to do honest work and honest impact. And that is what we're looking for. If you do honest work and honest impact, then you should be rewarded perfectly fine in this program. But thank you for the questions. I appreciate them. If are there any other questions? Let me see if there's another topic that I wanted to talk about. Um, yes, like I said, oh, yeah, and just okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Bitcoin Army is going to add to something, and this is just for the ones that are listening. Bitcoin Army said, I would like to add. What I said is correct. Impact is important, but there are also certain specific cases. Grill is niche and very specific to Polkadot. And see, I didn't even know it was specific to Polkadot. I thought it was just a Web3 thing. So perhaps a minimum number of users could be lowered. Another opinion is to use Grill, but then to promote the article on other social media networks with greater and measurable impact. Yes. So see, this is why this is why we have these regional leads. We can cover a lot more space and knowledge when there's more people. And I know Bitcoin Army has a pretty nice Grill page as well. So he has the experience on that platform and can grade very accordingly. And he also brings up another point. Some people are strong um, on multiple platforms, and I've seen it from the last ambassador program that it's the same content reposted on all platforms. That is not a bad thing because some people only use, LinkedIn, some people only use Twitter. But I would also say that you cannot get full points from just repeating the same content. You making one post and multiplying it 5 times, you get points for having multiple platforms. I think you should get rewarded for having different audiences. But I don't think you should get rewarded maximum points on each post on each audience, unless it really has to be something stellar. But I do think that there's what's the phrase? The return on the points after every repost should be diminishing. So diminishing returns on that. But that was how I graded. That's not noted in the guidelines. So that would be something that is also up to the leads if they want to take notice of that. But again, that's only for those people that have multiple audience, multiple decent sized audience on multiple platforms. Um, we got one from M. Fombasi. Any plans on changing the reward system? Uh, what type of changes? Do you have any change ideas to the type of changes? I think the top three rewards and lottery system is what works best right now. This reward system is actually to test if a lottery function would work well, because perhaps we might use this kind of lottery in other dApps, or it will be available for other people to use. So it was actually first a test of that, and it's working okay so far. We can make tweaks to it, but if you wanted to have a different reward system, if you have another one in mind, I'd love for you to share it so that I can know the direction of the question. Because as of right now, the top three rewards and the lottery system is the system that we seem to be that we're going to be using. I see several people typing, so excited to see what questions come up. And of course, we are open to feedback. Like I said, this is the first month of a 6 month program. And if I talk a little bit about our previous program, V1, we did a lot of changes all the way up to the fourth month, I would say. Before the fifth and sixth month, we kind of had something solid-ish. We still wanted to make some changes. So it is the program is going to adapt a lot throughout the months, and I also think ACA has a chance of going up throughout the months. So also the rewards will likely, I mean, nothing is for certain, be increasing as we go throughout the month. So got to be ready. Like for instance, okay, I see Spruce saying is it at 100 or is that 50? Or but maybe you're just choosing. Okay. So yeah, for instance, the rules say you can't make articles if you don't have 100 followers. You have 40 followers, can you still write articles? Okay. So there's two parts to this. This is a good question. Um I put a minimum because, again, like I said earlier, I don't want people making fresh accounts to write. I mean, you can do that on your own, but it just won't get rewarded if it's a fresh account. Again, it has to go towards an audience. 40 followers is an okay amount of article. Is an okay amount in whatever platform you're speaking of. I'm guessing maybe Medium, but it's just not as impactful. There's two scenarios for this, and this is kind of just a survival of the fittest kind of stage. I can see that you're part of the Africa region, and I know that there's a lot of ambassadors in this region. So if there aren't a lot of people I guess, to have a bigger following than you, then it's possible to make an exception and just give reduced points for a smaller following than the full points. But let's say if there are 20, 30 people that have 100 plus followers on, let's say, Medium, then it's more that they have the right to get points from articles because they've grown a certain audience. Um, Something you can consider is writing that article on X. If you have a bigger following on X, X allows articles as well, or long form threads. If you're not a premium user, um, it's just again, it's the content and the impact. You can write an article, but if it doesn't have impact, then it really wouldn't get it rewarded. If somehow your 40 followers all are super engaged, then yes, you can get rewarded for that. And mind you that this is another topic that we spoke about briefly is or earlier is also be sure not to bot your engagement. It is pretty obvious. I've been part of projects that have tried, not Acala, but have tried to bot posts, or even just influencers I know have showed me the ways of how to bot posts, or even streamers. So it's very possible. It's not hard to do. It's not expensive to do, but it is a little clear if you've been in the space. So don't do that. And then the other topic is the use of AI. I am in no ways against AI. I actually think it's a way forward, but I also see it as a tool to support, a supplementary tool, not the end all and be all. So yes, opening up our white paper, copy pasting, and asking ChatGPT to make an article out of this is definitely not a way to work or to get rewarded. I've done both. I've written full length articles on my own. I know how much time it takes. And I've also done AI supported articles as well, which it cuts the time, but it still takes a lot of time if you want to have a good article. So use it to support your content. Use it for maybe rewording, restructuring, maybe some suggestions, maybe topic generation. You can do a whole bunch of cool stuff with AI, but to copy paste into an AI is just it's just unacceptable, and it's very visible. Um, some scenarios. Mm. Let me add some scenarios you listed that earn different points. Yes, hosting and speaking in spaces that has devs, KOLs, etc., and 50 plus listeners earns more points, but remember the guidelines will still be used as a guideline. Exactly. And that's another thing. Like, if you're speaking to a group of devs and one of them gets onboarded into Acala because they say that they come from your space, that is huge impact. That reward would be beyond what is in the guidelines because we're hoping for something like this to happen, but of course it's not guaranteed. So you're getting rewarded for your efforts, and then the results, if it does bring good results, you should get rewarded even more, kind of thing. So all in all, to really say it is pretty fluid, and it is really down to your community, your regional leads. The regional selection process was actually pretty harsh. There was a lot of applicants, and it was not easy to pick. I spent 2.5 days of, I think I did about 48 interviews during that time. So the three that made it are not have gone through quite a process, and have shown quite some ability. So yeah, so I have my faith in their discretion, and I back their discretion, and have conversations with them as well, in our own chats and in DMs. And then I see a question. Ah, sorry, I missed your question. I have streamer mode on, so I only see the letter A because it blocks your full name. Are all the recruits going to be onboarded as ambassadors? The answer to that is no, unfortunately. There will be a maximum of 15 ambassadors in each region. However, recruits can stay recruits. If there's ambassadors that drop out, we would be recruiting new ambassadors from the recruit pool. Just unfortunately, there will be a maximum of ambassadors that can earn rewards from the rewards program. Hmm. So yes. Again, if there's any more questions, let them roll through. Let me quickly check through my notes or any other questions in the tab. Um, yes, and what's exciting? I guess I could give you guys some early alpha as ambassadors of what's coming up in this in the new year, because there will be a lot more activity. There will be a lot more action coming to Ocala. Um, we do have proposals. I want to talk a little bit about proposals, but let me, I guess, finish my thought first. Um, there is a okay. We'll have more questions rolling in. Yeah, we do plan on expanding Akala EVM. So for those that are familiar with the EVM side of things, like using a MetaMask or using the EVM in Phantom or EVM in Subwallet or in yeah Talisman and Subwallet, we are expanding on the EVM side of things because we do find it a little technically easier for new people coming in than the Polkadot ecosystem. So we are planning on getting a lot of dApps built out on Acala EVM in this coming year. We do have a competition planned for the coming year. I can't spill too many details, but we are going to wait. We're going to be promoting it in December, likely to launch in January because we also know people will go on holidays in December, so we don't want to start a competition then. So there'll be some exciting times for you guys to try out different dApps, make content on different ones, suggest to friends, and then see the Acala ecosystem grow. I think that'll be a cool use of ACA if there's a lot of activity on Acala EVM, and we can also use Euphrates to kind of boost the good apps that are there. So there's some exciting times coming up for Acala in 2025. We still have a lot of smaller things, or not smaller things, but other things launching as well, like the Foo Future campaign. The real with real ACA is going to launch next week. But right now you can still do the testnet campaign. And there's new proposals coming in. We have one of our ambassadors that requested some ACA from the Treasury. I think it's looking like it's passing. If you guys are going to be hosting certain events and you want to request ACA from the Treasury because you think it's going to again be impactful, onboard new users, get people onto the Acala network, you can create a proposal and have it voted. The proposal system seems to be set that on discourse, you write out your proposal, people can chat about it. It gets moved into kind of a soft vote on Discord between ambassadors and users, and then it'll be put on the Acala subsquare where ACA holders can vote and release the ACA for the different events. So I see that there is an event happening in Helsinki. This one, I think it got passed pretty easily, in my opinion. They might start getting harder and harder as more people request for ACA for events. But I also saw that there's a meme coin trying to launch as well. So keep an eye out if you're an ACA holder and you care about the treasury and what's kind of backing some of ACA's price. Keep an eye on those. You can also vote yes or vote no. Ask for clarification. Ask for more details. It is an open and decentralized ecosystem. Okay. And then, okay, concerning the AI issue, if you have an image generated by AI and quality content, will the image be affect my point grading? Mm, yes, I think Bitcoin Army answered that pretty well. AI generated images are not bad, of course, as long as they're good images and not like kind of weird or odd images. If it's used to grab the attention of an audience or even display what you're trying to explain or help visualize what you're trying to explain, it's totally cool. And if the content is generated, if the impact or the words or the meaning, the point, the message is true and your own as well, then I wouldn't think an AI image impacts it. But again, it quickly rendered. There's also layers to AI imaging. It could be just the first image you do. You might want to try to do a few renders first until it's what you want. Like it's clear when effort is made in post. That's what it is at the end of the day. If the correct effort, correct impact is made, then you will get rewarded for it. And this can happen in a case where you might mistakenly do something wrong or have a wrong quote, but it's clear when something is made genuinely versus rushed. It's really not that hard to actually I'll share something. And I'm sure the ambassador leads know now, once you spend an hour, 2 hours just going through straight content, it's very easy to pick out what is low effort and what is high effort because you're looking at all the ambassadors' content across all platforms. So it's very easy to compare. Um, so yeah, it's an interesting being on the other side of the grading system. But yes, I think Bitcoin Army also in the chat answered that very well. What are the KPIs? So those are listed. Are they listed in the? I'm not sure if they're listed in the guidelines anymore. But yes, KPIs, I mean, your followers can influence your audience, but of course, people can have unactive and botted followers as well. So it would be then engagement to your posts or actual impact to the server. Like we're seeing a lot of server joins, we're seeing a lot of genuine comments in your posts, asking further questions, wanting more links. I can see that quite as well, and also your activity with those people that are reacting or asking questions. So it's just genuine interest in your post and also visibility. So sometimes it also can just be the amount of views, the amount of engagements, the amount of comments, the amount of claps, the amount of likes, without it being botted, of course. It's really, again, it's hard to measure impact, but the closest things as far as KPIs would be just engagement, just different engagement metrics. Um, um, okay. Yeah, and I see a good point from Arch Archibong. Oh, I could get you on stage as well if you want. Um, Sorry, I didn't see you there. Streamer mode blocks everybody's name. I guess it's to hide people's identity. Um, so it's hard to see who's who. Um, but it was just suggested that yeah, for the yeah, and actually we'll talk about that in Ambassador Chat about proposals, and I agree that it should go through the regional leads so there can be some level of management of them as well. So we also know how it's being used and it can be somehow supervised as well. Um, Also, if you guys have any questions specifically for your regional leads, we have two of them here. I know it's a little harder for Asia to make it at this time because it's already pretty late over there, from my knowledge. But I thank these two ambassador leads for being here. If you have questions for them directly, they're live for you right now. They're either going to be typing it in the chat or speaking if they're able to. I know mic problems with these spaces is pretty common. Also, this is recorded, but it's just my voice that will be recorded for those that missed the space. Um, I feel there's. Let me see if there's any other topics. Don't want to keep you guys on too long. I know there's lots of things to do today. I have lots of things to do today. Also, we are working very, very, very hard on getting the portal bridge fixed. Just to let you guys know in this chat, we are pinging them from all different directions. They're starting to tell us we know, we know, we know. So yeah, we're working hard to get that fixed. I know some people have their funds stuck in Portal Bridge. Unfortunately, it is not in our control at the moment, but the wormhole team is on it. I even popped in the Discord and pinged them some more. So that's being fixed, and I hope that that gets fixed soon. For the 20, I think there's 28 transactions that are stuck bridging. Um, yes. So yeah, but so far, yeah, so far it's like I said, the first month is a little chaotic, but I appreciate everybody with all your efforts. I think this can grow into a pretty cool program. We want to just grow it and make it more and more community driven. At the end of the day, the idea of blockchain is really community ownership and decentralization. So yes, the Acala team has a lot of influence. The Acala Foundation has a lot of influence on Acala because we're leading it in a certain direction. But we will grow faster and more uniquely the more and more power we give to the community. So this ambassador program is a start to have people like you have influence on our ecosystem and grow it out and also get rewarded for it. So yes. Um, I think if there are no new questions coming in, I think we may wrap it up. Yes, quality over quantity, definitely. Um, and as well, another thing I want to point out is if there's something you're unsure about, nobody knows everything in crypto. Nobody knows everything in Polkadot. Nobody knows everything in Acala. Maybe our founders do. Um, but so if you're confused or questioning about something, it's not a lack of knowledge that you have, that you're not going to get pinned down for asking a question on how something works, especially if you want to make a post about it. So feel free to ask questions. There's no dumb questions. It's better to do that than to try and make a post of something you don't understand. I mean, we don't fully understand everything, so I could see people trying to explain things the way that they interpret it. But of course, we're here to ask questions. We're here to help because we know that if we help you and you have a voice in your community, then you can help a lot more people. So feel free to always ask questions about the Acala ecosystem, about crypto. We are still early. I still, yeah, try to make as much guides or videos. And it also helps if we get your questions. You may not be the only person that has it. We can add it in the self-help guide. We can make a different video. Speaking of video, yeah, I have one almost prepared. I'm going to be put into our guide. So, is AUSD still available in Acala? Yeah, let me actually, so let me quickly tell you guys what is the current state of AUSD. Also, again, from my understanding, because this was before my time, but AUSD is no longer a token. It's been converted into a seed. Yeah, and yeah, there you go. It's converted into a seed. Now, a seed is uh is backed by the assets that are left in the former AUSD treasury that is now the AC treasury. So the price of AC is actually directly correlated to the treasury assets. And in that asset, in that treasury, I believe there's some dots, some L dots, some ACA, and maybe even some USDC. So all these assets kind of back a seed. Now, if these assets grow in price, so for example, if DOT goes back to $10, then L dot will also price will go up. If ACA goes back to 20 cents, then perhaps the value of the treasury can match the amount of AC that's left, and people would be able to redeem their AC for the dollar that was previously AUSD. But yeah, that's a whole back crazy story. But as for right now, it's a waiting game for the treasury assets, the AC treasury assets to be on par so that AC can be $1 and then people can redeem either the assets or the dollar value of their AC, and then that whole story's no more. So again, to mention AUSD, it's already out of date, and then ACEED, I mean, it could have its own content, but I don't think that this is the time to shine. There was a moment earlier in the year, I believe, where ACEED was at maybe 93 cents, like it was almost back at a dollar because of the treasury assets going up. I think dot price was at $10, ACA was at 20 cents. So we'll look forward to that. And I think once we get back to that price, that would be a good time to make content on ACEED for the ACEED holders that either want to exit or just want to hold because, hey, the treasury could actually go past the $1 mark and you might even be able to redeem like $1.10 per ACEED. But that's just being a little more optimistic. I'm sure at the $1 mark, a lot of people will want to come out. So that's a whole separate topic. I think right now the focus is the cool liquidity pool we have now. I don't know if you noticed in the ACA platform, you can now swap for Jito Sol directly on AC on a Acala swap. If you want to have some exposure to Solana, Solana is doing very well right now in the market. So if you don't want to leave the Polkadot ecosystem but have some exposure to Solana, that swap is now available because of the L dot Jito Sol pool that we've launched on Ufritz. So that's something cool, to talk about, to share. And if you want to partake in it, you can partake in it, but that's on your own decision. That's not financial or investment advice. Um, so yes, I think that's going to wrap it up. I don't want this to go too much longer for those that might want to listen. I want to thank everybody for coming to this community call. Again, there's one more week of submissions, so Monday, depending on I guess what region you're on, but it should be Monday for everybody. November 25th will be the last day of submissions. I'm excited to see who will be the top 3 in each region. Excited to open up the first lottery system for all 3 regions. Should be a good time. If you have any more questions, definitely throw them now back into Ambassador chat, and we'll try to get those answered for you. And of course, between the Ambassador leads, we'll have more chats if there are any changes to be made. I leave a couple seconds for those that are typing to get their thoughts out, and then we're going to close this one off. If there's anything left from the ambassador leads, feel free to say or type anything. But I think we should be good. Thank you all for coming. When will we know if we made it as an ambassador? It will be at the end of this month. I guess it would be during the buffer period of the points and tallying system. We'll change the roles manually from recruits to ambassadors, and then we can announce the ones that make it as well. So yes, but we'll talk more within the regional leads about that. And then yeah, and then let you guys know. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it, especially Cosmic Thunderbolt. Appreciate all the chatting you did and the help already in this call. And of course, all the ambassador leads. Also favor Wright for being our moderator and helping out in the Discord as well. Appreciate all the effort and looking forward to the next following months. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Later, guys.